Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of Keepin It Reel, a 4-part series discussing film remakes in Hollywood. I'm Cody.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Colton.
Today's episode will be discussing our definition of film remakes and technological advancements. Keep in mind we're casting a wide net here: remakes, reboots, screen adaptations, franchises, sequels, prequels, basically any newer rendition of a story we've already seen or heard from before.
So technology has been a big motive for directors, producers, film studios to want to remake a film.
Yeah, we touched on it pretty briefly in the last episode, but Disney is forefront in doing this exact thing. They're taking all of their old hand-drawn, hand-animated films, and they're putting them into a sort of novel twist with digital CGI and digital animation, and they're breathing new life into them. And like we talked about, it's a sort of strategy to encourage younger kids to engage with this and to engage with the nostalgia of their parents even maybe, but it is indeed the technology that's sort of driving this change. And what's interesting about it all is there's two different types of effect here, two different types of animation. There's the animation that attempts to mimic reality, so the CGIs you'd see in any action film. And then there's the animation that sets a style and takes that on as its reality. So a lot of the Disney films do this. I mean, the Dr. Seuss, the Lorax, that kind of stuff. It's got a certain style. Like when you see it, you recognize it, and you understand it's not the real world, but it's recognizable.
Claymation, stop-go animation, things like that.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's just interesting to see that something like that might have a longer shelf life than something that attempts to mimic reality, because as CGI gets better and better, a lot of that becomes outdated, and we're inundated with technological advancements regularly, so the film industry is always moving.
Yeah, and it's going to continue to improve.
Yeah. Another thing to note about that animation is the hand-drawn animation versus like the CG animation is the animation that's hand-drawn is going to be ageless. It's timeless. It's never going to look worse than it does right now. Versus CGI, which is always getting better, it's always improving, we're always expanding upon its abilities and what it can really do. And there's a downside to that. After a certain amount of time, that CGI is no longer going to look as good as it did when it was first released. At some point, it'll look fake to us, always.
You know?
That's very true. I mean, even some of that campy 80s action CGI, even though it looks horrible now, I mean, a lot of people would be like, that's great, that's awesome stuff. I even have a personal taste for that kind of stuff, but
Right.
but you know, when it comes to animation, there's a sort of like purism to it, especially with hand drawing. With studios like Studio Ghibli, they're hand drawing everything they make, and they take it as a mark of pride. So it's interesting to see how technology has sort of changed how people are putting animation in.
Yeah, speaking of changing technology, it's also changing the way we viewers, prefer to watch movies with on-demand streaming and basically streaming culture.
Yeah, people are definitely opting to stay on the couch and catch movies at home instead of going out to the theater and making a night out of it. It's just becoming the economic option for people who care about that.
No, it definitely is just more convenient, and honestly, that is a driving force economically. But in terms of production, it is also sort of having this dividing effect between assets for films. So, certain IPs and franchises are breaking away. Like Disney pulled all of their films and all of their movies from streaming websites because they didn't want to compete. So in response, now these streaming websites are putting their money into production to produce their own content so that they can sort of fight for this spot in the market that they have.
Right.
And the way Netflix and Hulu and other streaming services are producing their content is a little bit different than how a normal film studio would operate and produce their films.
That's it for episode 2 of Keepin' It Reel. Stay tuned for next episode when we discuss art versus entertainment and its relation to film remakes in Hollywood. I'm Cody.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Colton.
And we're keeping it real.